All right, let's bring Jackson up here and let's take some questions.
Let's do it. Let's do it. First one, there's a few about Halliburton. The first is how can the Pacers kind of unlock Tyrese Haliburton a little bit? He's obviously gotten stuck in the mud a little bit. Is it involved him as a screener? What can they do to get him more involved than he has been so far?
So again, like I think there's a reality to the fact that when Oklahoma City really tightens the screws, he's not going to be super impactful as a scorer in this type of series. To your point, though, to the questions point, like these actions, these using him as a screener, these are ways to hopefully find more advantages for him. And in general, like I thought he did a good job of attacking closeouts tonight when he would get catches on the perimeter, when he would like find himself open. But like ultimately, I don't think this is going to be a series where Tyrese Haliburton is going to be a super high volume scorer. I mean, guys, go back to game one. It wasn't like he was having some crazy offensive game. He had some shots late, but like ultimately in this series, he's the advantage creator. He's the guy that is going to find that first little crack in Oklahoma City's defense. And then the ball is going to continue to be worked around, and it's going to be a team effort for them to break this down. If people are expecting Tyrese to just flex his scoring muscles in the series, I just don't think it's something he's going to be able to do.
I agree with that, but my sort of follow up is to your point about the tougher shot he made in the fourth quarter was when he was in a little bit more of a rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
What's the balance there he should strike between getting slightly, maybe not putting up 10 shots in a quarter in the first quarter, but maybe attempting a few that are just slightly more to his way as opposed to the flow of the offense to get himself in a rhythm a little bit earlier. Not that he needs to be 30 points a game, but so we can get in a little bit of a rhythm as a scorer earlier in the game.
This is a really good take, and I think you're making a fantastic point, which is that it's not all or nothing with either of these guys. Like, not every game from Shea that's bad needs to look like game one. Not every game that Shea has that's good needs to look exactly like tonight. There's an in between ground, right? And like the to your point, like we've talked about this concept a lot on the show over the course of the last couple of months, but like the scoring archetype, their demons in their head try to get them to shoot when they probably should pass. And for the playmaking archetype, the demons in their head are like pass the ball when they probably should shoot. And so, yeah, like this was a bad game from Tyrese. I want to be clear. I'm just saying, like, I'm starting to I understand more of what Tyrese's bad games look like in the sense that like, you think he's looking at Lou Dort like, let me just go to work. Like, no, that's not what he's thinking when he's looking at that matchup. If he'd had to play one on one against Lou Dort, there's a chance that he'd really struggle to get shots off. like I mean, like literally if they played like Lance Stevenson and who was it, Mike Beasley the other day. So like if you play that kind of game, that's not his game. But like to your point, maybe taking a couple more of those, like one or two more of those like questionable looks in the first few quarters could go a long way towards giving him a little bit more rhythm when he needs to score later.
Next question. When will J Dub show up? He felt like he had a better game today, but he's still shooting under 35% this series. What can he do to help himself on the offensive end?
He's just not hitting his jump shots. I thought he got some pretty damn good looks from three in this game that he just missed, which is how it goes. But overall, like, I mean, he had 19 points on 14 shots. Almost everything from him was downhill towards the rim. That was how he kept continuing to get to the foul line. And like, honestly, I feel like J Dub has been pretty good since the first half of game one. Like, I thought he was pretty good with his attacks in the second half of game one. He just hasn't been able to find his 3-point shot yet. But like, a lot of this is comfort and rhythm, and like it really doesn't matter as long as he hits them when he needs to. So like here you are 1-1. There's going to probably be a chance maybe it's game three, maybe it's game four where he's going to need to hit some catch and shoot threes, and if he hits those ones, like yeah, there are going to be people who hunt the box score and be like, oh, he didn't have a very good statistical series, but ultimately to win this series, he's just going to have to hit some more jump shots, and I think he's certainly capable of it. But I thought he played pretty well tonight, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. One more Halliburton question, then we got a few more on the OKC side. These Halliburton struggles and him as a scorer, is there something he can add to his game to avoid these kind of disappearing acts in the future? Or do you think because of sort of just his style of play that his limitations are who he is and sort of what he needs to just sort of live with it throughout his career at this point?
So step one is like acknowledging the reality of like who he is as an athlete, which is like
Mhm.
he is a very good athlete, but he is not an elite athlete. Like he is not
Mhm.
he doesn't have like that first step quickness that Shea Gilgeous-Alexander has that gives him the ability. Like what Shea's one of the top two or three scorers in the league. I think we can all agree on that, right? So what makes Shea such an elite scorer? It's one, he's got this unbelievable first step, but two, he also like has the ability to, out of any footwork from any spot on the floor, rise up into a jump shot. He can turn over his right shoulder, he can turn over his left shoulder, he can step back going right, he can step back going left. He can do all of the different jump shooting angles and finishes and things along those lines. And so as a result of that, like he is not short of ways to get a shot off against an elite defender. Now, Tyrese Haliburton doesn't elevate super high on his jump shot, doesn't really have the ability to shoot fadeaways over both shoulders, like turning and spinning out of the post or anything like that. But what he does have is he's a very good 3-point shooter. And so I imagine it being more of like if he can get to the point where like he does a lot of stuff out of a high hesitation on his right hand. Like he kind of is constantly like feathering together high hesitations. Everything chains together from there. A lot of times he'll like chain 3 or 4 of them together while he's waiting for a play to develop, right? And he's just kind of eyes on the rim, hand in that high hesitation. Like maybe a Dame step back, like just a really hard in and out dribble to get just that little tiny bit of separation and then rise and fire. And then just a little bit of work quickening the release. And then again, like it's all levels, right? Like everyone wants to know the difference between Steph and all the other great guards of his era. You want to know what it is? A chasm of the ability to make 3-point shots. Like ultimately, it's about becoming a guy that doesn't hit 37, 38% of them, but becoming a guy that hits 42, 43% of them at high volume. And so I think the best pathway for Tyrese to have him reliable is the wrong word because there'll still be some variance involving shooting, but like to me the pathway for Tyrese to become a guy who can like average 25 points a game in a playoff run is to just become one of the best shooters in the league. I think that's the move for him, and then again like just little quick moves that capitalize on his speed and his passing ability to like sneak 3-point shots off against a contest.
Couple more questions, then we'll go over to playback. Next question: what was the in-season tournament loss good for OKC in retrospect? Feels like they finally learned from that loss and last year's playoff loss, and have sort of taken some of those lessons to be able to get over the hump a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the in-season tournament, but like you don't think that was another I talk about this all the time, like scar tissue. You get scar tissue from losing. Any competitor worth his salt is still thinking about losses that he's had in his past or that she's had in her past. Like we've all been there. You lose a game, it should eat at you. And what typically happens is you think about a moment. Like Jackson, I'm sure you've lost a game in like a men's league where like you think about a single rebound you missed or a single turnover you had in a big
Yes.
spot or like a play where you maybe settled for a shot when there was a driving lane or something like that. Like those things haunt you. They haunt you. And you need high leverage basketball to build that part of your game out. That attention to detail, that fear of losing, that like just unwillingness to let it happen again. Right. And so I absolutely think the in-season tournament loss helped this team. All right, guys, that's all we
Last
have.
question before
Oh, we got one
playback.
more?
What?
Okay.
Yeah, we got one more. Sorry.
Okay. No worries.
What do you think the ceiling is for Mathurin? Shea got the better of him at points, but it's great seeing him fight over screens and stay attached, and he's great at getting downhill.
How old has Ben Mathurin now? I'm pulling it up. Hang on one second. 22. So, and he's about to turn 23 on June 19th. I think Ben's been super impressive for a young guard. Like think about how many young guards. Now again, like this is how it's all relative because like remember like Ant's 23 and just led his team to back-to-back Western Conference Finals. So like this is part of why I tell everyone to back the hell off when it comes to Anthony Edwards. But with Ben, there is like you saw like he committed a couple fouls, but like he can slide those feet and stay in front of a pretty quick athlete in Shea. Like he's got a ton of potential as a defensive player. His downhill athleticism is a legitimate problem. He's able to draw fouls against this Oklahoma City team. He's got to continue to polish up the jump shot and his decision making, and there's certainly a long way to go. But like Ben strikes me as a guy who by age 26, age 27 is going to be a guy who could be in that like 25 to 35 range in this league. Like I absolutely think he can be like, a guy who makes an all-star team or two and is like a rock solid high level starter in this league. And so like I'm pretty high on Ben, and to me, we had a mailbag question the other day where someone asked like, "Hey, like, what about the like what about the 2 and the 3 spot for the Pacers? Should they look to upgrade that this summer?" And like to me, Ben's that guy. Ben's the guy that can age into being the upgrade at the 2 or the 3. He's the guy that can bring that real athletic pop and scoring pop. So like I'm a big believer in Ben, and like the fact that you're getting anything useful out of him at this point as a 22-year-old in this rotation is to me found money.